Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is my third try to do today's Ramadaan Advice. Due to a dumb smartphone giving us troubles here and there, we've had to go over it again 2 times. But it seems that this time it's finally gotten going. Alhamdulillah. So, welcome today, the 5th day of Ramadan. This is the 4th advice. Welcome to this day of fasting, and I hope that Allah accepts your fast and the prayers done today, whether the obligatory prayers or the night prayers. May Allah accept it all. And I just wanted to talk briefly on the night prayers. And to be sure, a lot of people always ask, what's the difference between Taraweeh, these night prayers that we're praying now, and Tahajjud? They are one and the same. We've just given it another name, Taraweeh. Actually, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ never called it Taraweeh. People did, and there's no problem as long as we understand what we're talking about. But the problem comes when you give the name Taraweeh and nobody understands that it's the same thing as Tahajjud. So, really, for the general masses, it's probably better to just call it Tahajjud, which is what it was. And then they would also get an idea of where it should be and when it should be. Because right now, we pray Salatul Isha, we wait a few minutes, and we start doing Taraweeh, Tahajjud. We don't normally do that during the rest of the year, Most people know that the best time for Tahajjud is in the last third of the night. For you to get up from sleep. This is what makes Tahajjud special. That you get up from sleep. You break your sleep. And Allah talks about the righteous, special believers who get up from their sleep. Because that takes a level of spiritual strength that many of us don't have. But this is where Taraweeh should be. Tahajjud time. We go to sleep after Isha, and then we wake up in the last third. We do Tahajjud in Jama'ah. It was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to do it. In the masjid or in your home, do this Tahajjud. And then when you finish, it's almost time for suhoor. You don't go to sleep. See, we're doing the opposite. Now we pray Tahajjud right after Isha, then we go to sleep. And then we struggle, and sometimes we miss suhoor. Whereas if we followed the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the way of the Sahaba, then the issue of missing suhoor is almost nil. Why? Because you've already gotten up for Tahajjud. If you've gotten up for Tahajjud, after Tahajjud you do your suhoor. I mean, you may have to wait a few minutes or whatever, but it's virtually going to be around the time of suhoor. So this is the proper time for, quote-unquote, the Taraweeh. But we know that as an individual, Caliph Abu Bakr, he used to do his witr prayers and Tahajjud prayers connected to the witr after Isha. This was his practice for fear of missing it. However, that's one Sahabi. That was not the norm. That was not the practice of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It just shows that it is possible. It's permissible. Tahajjud is a voluntary prayer anyway. And it is the best of the voluntary prayers. To some degree, it even supersedes the obligatory prayers. But it's not obligatory. though it's common in Pakistan and India to hear witr wajib, witr connected to tahajjud, is not authentic. It is not obligatory. The Sahaba actually asked Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, is witr wajib? He said, no, it's not. So, it is a recommended prayer. And if we are about change in Ramadan, then we need to try to implement it. Actually, some imams, one of the imams here, maybe more than that, and one I know of here in Qatar, he starts to do what they call Qiyamul Layl. They pray Tahajjud, they pray Taraweeh first after Isha. He'll do that. Somebody else will close it off with witr. And then he'll come back later on in the time of Tahajjud to do Qiyamul Layl from the first day of Ramadan. MashaAllah. He usually finishes the complete Quran every 10 days. You have to have real strength to be able to keep up with him. Sometimes you'll pray Surah Al-Baqarah in one rak'ah. It's unthinkable for most of us. Unthinkable, but mashallah, he does it. And people are doing it with him. But we're just talking about, what is actually best. And though what's common is praying after Isha, praying at the time of Tahajjud is actually best. It means that you're not going to be in the routine, with everybody else. Everything is sort of fitted in place. You knock it off, and then after that you can relax, do anything you want. People stay up. Because we're not following the Sunnah. So our suhoor, we end up usually eating too much. And our iftar, we also end up eating too much. And what happens is that, of course, when you try to pray after Isha, after you've eaten up so much food, you can hardly stay awake. You're struggling to keep your eyes open. Especially if you close your eyes during Salah, which is considered makruh by most scholars, disliked in Islam. When you pray, you look at the point of sujood, your eyes should be open. That was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So what happens is that when you eat too much after Isha for breaking your fast, then staying awake after Isha for Tahajjud or Taraweeh is very difficult. So it becomes, mind over matter, a struggle. And the Prophet ﷺ used to say, Arihna bis-salah ya Bilal. Give us rest and peace in prayer, O Bilal. Is that how our prayer is? Is there rest and peace? Or are we just struggling to keep our eyes open, to stay awake, not to fall asleep in prayer? Something to think about. Difficult to implement when everybody around you is doing something else. For you to go and try to do this is a real challenge. But what is Ramadan but a challenge? And if we are to experience change, then we have to be ready to meet the challenge. Inshallah. Barakallah fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.